The top cop who put his badge on the line for justice.
The gripping story of Deputy Sheriff Doug Poppa. He was a top cop who did the right thing and paid dearly for it.
You know the name Doug Poppa?
Yes, I do. God bless Doug Poppa, an honest cop.
He was a man of integrity. His testimony last summer freed an innocent man from jail who had already been convicted of shooting his ex-wife. But Poppa's going public cost him his job as an undercover cop.
I was elated, of course, but then as he testified, I was somewhat concerned for him because I knew that they were probably going to crucify that man.
Doug Poppa was targeted for a 10-day suspension by his own department for defying superiors and talking to the media. This Brooklyn-born street fighter wouldn't back down.
Sometimes the truth has a price. That may be the lesson of a Virginia police officer who says, in trying to do the right thing, he ended up paying for it.
The message you're sending is, see, we did it, Doug. You don't come out, you don't buck the system. No matter what the reason is, you just can basically keep your mouth shut. But if I wouldn't do it all over again, I would take the badge and I would leave it on somebody's desk and get out of police work. Because the day I can tell the truth because somebody's pressuring me, and the day the system doesn't want me to tell the truth because somebody's pressuring me, is the day I leave the badge on the desk and walk away.
Poppa was fired for insubordination. One man who confronted truth and consequences.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Doug Poppa Podcast from Las Vegas, Nevada, episode 140, for Monday, April 24th, 2023. This is another exclusive news story from my podcast. Today's topic, ladies and gentlemen, FBI ties violent racist Instagram post to Las Vegas Metro police officers, law enforcement sources say. Before we get to the updated information, let's go back and look at something I posted on my Twitter, @DougPoppa1, on April 13th. I posted this. Let me get it up on the screen for you. Okay. On April 13th, I broke this news on my Twitter account. Breaking news from the Doug Poppa Podcast. Las Vegas Metro Police scandal. Sources say internal investigation related to some officers assigned to the South Central Area Command involving racist social media posts advocating for the eradication of certain races of people. And as you can see on the bottom portion of that, I updated that on April 16th, and I said, update LVMPD. Sources say at least 3 patrol detectives assigned to the South Central Area Command are under Internal Affairs Bureau investigation for the racist social media post allegedly involving Instagram. More to come. Now, ladies and gentlemen, since I posted those on Twitter, I received more information. I told you I'd keep you updated, and I can't do a lot of these updates on a podcast because it takes a lot of time to produce and record these podcasts. So I put a lot of my information when it comes out on my Twitter account, @DougPoppa1. So you can get a lot of breaking news involving the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department and other things that I post on my Twitter account. Now, with that, according to law enforcement sources, 3 officers right now assigned to the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department's South Central Area Command, like I said in those tweets, are under investigation for violent, racist posts on their Instagram accounts. Now, I've been informed by law enforcement sources how this was discovered, and I'm not certain on it because I'm getting some conflicting information, but when you post stuff on your social media accounts, a lot of these Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and the rest of them, because of what's going on in the country the past couple of years, they have algorithms, I believe, that will hit on if you post anything, certain comments, violent racist remarks, and stuff like that. Now, I don't know how exactly the FBI got involved in this, either because the Instagram accounts may have been flagged by Instagram themselves because of the content that they saw being posted, or was it a complaint from somebody else that saw these posts and then contacted the FBI? Irregardless, my sources tell me the FBI was involved, and then they tracked the Instagram post and found out and discovered that the personnel involved, and right now I'm hearing there's 3, there may be more in the future, were active duty police officers with the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. And according to my police sources, some of the rhetoric that was on these posts from these officers on their Instagram account spoke about ethnic cleansing and street justice and other violent racist remarks. So that's what we have right now, updated, ladies and gentlemen. Now, what I do not know, and I'm sure there's an Internal Affairs Bureau investigation ongoing, how much involvement the FBI's got on this, or are they keeping track of what the LVMPD is doing, that remains to be seen. But the way these investigations usually go is there's a lot of questions right now that I have as an investigative journalist and a former criminal investigator, is who were these posts directed to? Were they just posts that they were posting? And I don't know at this point, ladies and gentlemen, if their Instagram accounts were public or private. And if you're on Instagram, you can have a private account, and then the only way somebody could see what you're posting is you have to follow them, and then they allow you to go into their account, and you could see whether it was a private account or a public account that these officers had. I do not know at this point. I will get more information as this goes on, and I will keep you updated. Now, this investigation should look into, and I'm sure they are, who was replying to these posts, who was giving them thumbs up, who was, replying, who's talking to these officers. Were they just generally putting them out as a post, or they were responding to other people? How many of those other persons are active duty law enforcement? That's something we do not know. Now, I don't have the names at this time, but I expect to get them in the near future. But what I'm told is at least 2 of the officers involved at the South Central Area Command, and I'm hearing all 3 of them right now, there's at least 3, are assigned as patrol detectives. 2, from what I understand from my sources, are white males, and 1 is a Latino male, or he has a Latino name. And I expect to get some of these names in the near future, and as I do, I will update it on another podcast. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is extremely disturbing. We've had in the news recently, I think the police department out in California was Antioch, pretty much similar stuff, racist text messages by police officers. And when these investigations go on, especially if now, these people are basically innocent until they're, everybody's innocent until proven guilty. But is what it stands right now from my law enforcement sources. The FBI was involved. They tied the racist post to those Instagram accounts, and then they found out, though, the people posting it were active duty Las Vegas Metro Police Department police officers. And another aspect of this, too, if they should be fired. If this is all confirmed, they should all be fired. And then will they do an audit of their criminal cases to see how many people they arrested that may have been minorities, blacks, or whatever, and how that affected maybe some of the cases. That's usually what they do in these cases. And you can see on the news a lot of times they'll say the district attorney's office dropped the charges on so many cases because an officer had made racist remarks to other officers or through social media. So that's something that needs to be determined at this point. And again, This has not been made public. I broke the news when I had my original information, like I said, on Twitter, and then I got some updated information over the past several days, and I expect to get the names, and I will publish the names when I get them. Now, let's go back to, you remember last year, let me get this up on the screen so you can see what I'm talking about here. A lot of papers here. Now, 2022, I broke this story. Let me get up here for you, zoom it in there. Okay. And I was the first to break this story in Las Vegas, the first investigative journalist to break this news. And that was the arrest of Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department officer, then officer, Caleb Rogers, who was involved in the casino robbery. And I broke that story. Now, and I did the second one. I broke that on, let's look at the date here, February 27th of last year, 2022. And then that was episode 94. And then I did a follow-up to that, which was episode 97. And I published that on March 7th of last year, about a month later. And that was titled, Gun Used by Casino Robbing Vegas Cop Came from Police Evidence Vault, Sources Say. And I'll have the links to these two podcasts that I mentioned here in the description section. Now, why am I saying that? Because I want you to listen to this excerpt from the second podcast, episode 97. And I'll tell you why, because somebody gave me more information the other day and said you already mentioned something about something. So anyway, let me play it for you and just listen to this here. Okay, I don't think that's coming through for some reason. Hold on a second. Let's get rid of it there for a minute. Why isn't that playing audio? Let's try it again. Sources said that after Rogers was arrested, search warrants were executed on all the lockers at the Bolden Area Command, where Rogers was assigned. Caleb Rogers worked on a special plainclothes detail known as the Flex Team, which is short for Flexible Deployment Team. I was told that investigators confiscated all the departmental cell phones belonging to Rogers' team members and also a laptop computer used by the Flex Team. Detectives may be conducting a similar internal investigation as they did last year with the Rogue Flex Team that was operating out of the South Central Area Command. It started out with one Flex Team police officer tipping off an acquaintance that a search warrant was going to be executed and mushroomed into a full-scale investigation. Another Flex Team officer was allegedly making false arrests related to gun charges, and the Flex Team sergeant sent out a text message asking if any one of his members had the answer sheet for the NCIC test that they have to take every year. I was told that several members of that South Central Area Command Flex Team were fired, and one officer received a 40-hour suspension. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. The reason why I'm mentioning that is when I talked about that last year, the investigation into the South Central Area Command occurred, from my sources told me, in 2021. And some police officers got fired, some of them were suspended. That was another thing that was never released to the news or the public. So I mentioned that last year. And the reason why I'm mentioning it now is sources have recently told me that one of the officers who was fired during that investigation was a police officer named Andrew Buckman. And police sources are telling me that out of that investigation, they were looking for something else, but he ended up being fired from the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, I believe, in 2021, because he was caught on body camera video footage describing a black male suspect with dreadlocks as an N. and I can't say the word because if I say the word, a lot of times YouTube will flag it and publish, so you'll know what the N word is. So this officer, according to my police sources, was describing a black male, a suspect with dreadlocks, as an N, and it was caught on body camera video. And my sources told me, and I don't remember anything in the news, this was another officer who was fired. And again, the reason why he was fired was kept from the public and the press. And this is the first time you're hearing about it here. And, the sources tell me over the years that a lot of times when police officers are fired from the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, it's one of the worst police departments in the country for transparency. They conceal a lot of these firing these officers, from the public. And many times, not always, but a lot of fired Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department officers, when I'm told, go on other police departments, some here, some out of state. So that'll be another podcast. Now, last year, in 2022, I did a podcast, and part of that podcast was from law enforcement sources were telling me that Sheriff Joe Lombardo at the time, who ran the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, and now he's the governor, allegedly has racial bias towards blacks. And I'll have that link to that podcast in the description section of this episode. So what we have here, ladies and gentlemen, this is very disturbing. What I want Sheriff Kevin McMahill, I want him to, because I'm going to release the names of these officers as soon as I get them. We want to know who these officers are, and I'm demanding right now on here that you release the text messages, the Instagram post that these officers were posting on the Instagram accounts so the public can see them for ourselves. And chances are they're not going to do that. But I'm asking and demanding that those things be released because we, the public, have a right to know if our police officers are racist, have racist bias, and we need to know also this investigation should uncover, is it affecting the way they did their jobs on people who they arrested? So that's what we need to know at this point. And, the local media, you can call up, because the FBI is not going to comment, so I don't bother calling them. And Metro doesn't respond to me 95% of the time. And they're not going to respond on this. But this is some serious stuff. And if they don't respond now, and I will find out more information as this investigation goes on. It is an Internal Affairs Bureau investigation, and get some more information. And I will post it on the podcast on an update because this is some pretty serious stuff. That said, not every police officer on the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department is racist or alleged racist. Okay, there's 3,000 some officers on there. I think they have a total of 6,000 employees, counting the civilians. And when these things come out, it reflects on the entire department. Because I will tell you this right now, I'm going to find it hard to believe that even if these guys were doing this on their Instagram accounts, that none of the cops that work with these guys, if that's what they think in their mind, that certain races of people should be eradicated and let's do street justice on them, those are violent racist remarks, that these people, these officers, haven't made remarks like that to other officers or maybe even posted stuff in the past. So it's going to be interesting because I'm sure the FBI and Metro are going back from day one and subpoenaing and get a subpoena to Instagram and find out exactly what they've been doing on Instagram and other social media posts that we don't know about. But like I said, as soon as I get more information, I will update you. Remember to subscribe to the Doug Poppa podcast on YouTube. That is my forum for my independent investigative journalism. You will not hear about a lot of the stories that I do in the local Las Vegas media. I'm the only investigative journalist, and I keep saying this for years, that has inside information on the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. And when I get that information, I put it out to the public. And you want to support my independent investigative journalism, it's paypal.me/Doug Poppa. Contact information, Doug Poppa Podcast at gmail.com. and I'm going to keep this one short. Now, also on my Twitter, the past couple of weeks, I've been posting a lot of stuff about, from what I'm hearing, Kevin McMahill is also ordering police lieutenants to change the classification of violent crimes on police statistics based on case adjudication from the Clark County District Attorney's Office. It's a little involved, but I'll talk about that more on a podcast. We had the, I think I posted this on Twitter the other day, we had the director from the Las Vegas Police Protective Association, his name was Chad Lyman, who was making phone calls, from my sources are telling me, to police officers thinking that there was an investigation going on this other cop who had signed in for a training class and was leaving. He didn't go to the class, which is fraud. And Lyman allegedly was calling officers up, cursing them out and threatening them. And I put it on my Twitter the other day. I've since found out that he is under Internal Affairs Bureau investigation. And I also heard the other day that possibly there may be another police officer involved who actually, on one of the days on this week-long class that this police officer didn't attend for this detective class, that another police officer may have just signed him in, and he never even showed up, the other guy. So I'll have more information on that. And then more information on, from what sources are telling me, is that Sheriff Kevin McMahill and Under Sheriff Andrew Walsh are they're always upset. They're yelling and screaming over there at headquarters. They want to micromanaging everything that's going on, and it's causing a lot of headaches over there at Martin Luther King Boulevard, which is the tower. That's what I call it. That's what cops call it. That is headquarters. And there's some other stuff there on Twitter. I can't remember. I don't have it in front of me. So keep track of my Twitter account at DougPapa1. That's where I post information on breaking news when I get it. So we'll see you on the next podcast. I think I covered everything this. I want to keep this one short. And we'll see you on the next episode. And the next episode is going to involve the 1995 incident with Sheriff Kevin Pay. I say that, then other stuff comes in. I got to do something else. Like I had another story I wanted to do on 140, and then this other stuff came up, so I put it out. So anyway, we have to see what's going to go on with this investigation and see what else we can uncover. But when I get the names of the police officers and any more information on this, I will do it and update it in a podcast. Thanks for listening, and you all have a good evening.
This lawman sacrificed his badge for justice.
Papa knew a secret that could free a man wrongfully imprisoned for shooting his ex-wife. But when Papa stepped forward, he was cut down by his own police department.
All this stuff's going in my head. Should I call up to the defense attorney? Okay? And I knew if I did that, holy hell would break loose.
Deputy Sheriff Doug Papa used to be one of the top cops in rural Loudoun County, Virginia. Deputy Papa feels he's been busted himself. He lost his job as a narcotics investigator, he says, when he told an ugly truth about a 4-year-old crime. The truth about how his own department and the local prosecutor allegedly ignored key evidence and may have sent an innocent man to jail.
I testified, and everything changes.
What Deputy Papa testified about was an attempted murder in 1987.
They deliberately withheld evidence that should have been given to my defense attorneys.
Bill Birch is the prosecutor Deputy Papa accused of ignoring the evidence.
He says, I told the prosecutor, I told Mr. Birch that this woman said, I'm going to shoot myself if need be, and I'm going to make it look like my husband did it just to ruin his life. Did he say that to you?
No, he did not.
But this November, the court believed Doug Papa.
Oh my goodness, is this the reception committee?
And on Valentine's Day, William Carter was released on a $50,000 bond and given a new trial.
This man usually puts people on trial in this courthouse, but in a rare turn of events, the Loudoun County Commonwealth Attorney was called to the witness stand. William Birch was asked to respond to allegations that he pressured a witness to lie in earlier court proceedings.
No, sir.
A woman who lived at the Carter mansion the night Carol Vandergrift Carter was shot 5 years ago testified that the prosecutor coached her to withhold testimony about the gun involved.
I certainly did tell him about that it was a .38.
I don't recall her saying anything about the gun, a .38 caliber, anything like that.
he's lying to cover his tracks on the last trial.
The high price one cop is paying for telling the truth.
After serving more than 4 years behind bars, Carter was on the edge of his seat when the verdict was read today.
We, the jury, on Keisha's joint, find the defendant, William Douglas Carter, not guilty.
After he audibly thanked the jury, Douglas Carter could not contain himself. The tears flowed.
When I came out and testified in November of 1991 at the habeas corpus hearing, and again in January, I was suspended for 10 days without pay, and I ended up being fired after 12 years in this department.